Hi, I'm Amy Romeo and welcome to my Spring Fling crafting event where I'm sharing a brand new spring faux leather craft for your Cricut every day for 10 days. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to make these really pretty spring themed notebook covers. I have 4 different designs for you and 2 different notebook styles. One has an elastic closure and one has a tab closure, and I'll show you step by step how to make these in this video. I have the SVG files for all 4 of these designs in my shop, and I'll leave a link to them for you if you'd like to craft along with me. So before we get started, let's hop in and talk about the tools and materials we'll be using. So I'll be using my Cricut Maker today, but you can use any of the current Cricut machines that have the larger mat, the 12 by 12 mat. That includes all of the Maker machines and all of the Explore machines. You can also use the Cricut Joy Extra for this project, just with the green Joy size mat. The faux leather that I'm using for this project, I'm using sheets of solid color 9" by 12" faux leather. This is a standard size from my favorite faux leather supplier. I'll leave links to the faux leathers that I'm using and all of the supplies for you. I'm using solids because I am going to apply heat transfer vinyl on top, and I want to be able to see the pattern of the design, but you could also use a print if that's what you prefer. So I'll be cutting the faux leather with my purple strong grit mat and the heat transfer vinyl with my green standard grit mat. And to apply the heat transfer vinyl onto the faux leather, I'll be using my Cricut Easy Press Mini, but you could use a larger Easy Press or even a large heat press if that's what you have. Some other tools we'll be using: some curved scissors in case we need to trim up any little edges. You'll need a weeding tool of some kind, like a hook or a pin pen. You'll want some blue painter's tape. This is going to help us tape down our faux leather to get really nice cuts. Now the heat transfer vinyl I'm using, I have some solid Caesar Easy Weed here, and I have some Cricut foil iron-on. It really depends on what heat transfer vinyl you'd like to use. The notebooks that I'll be using are these little insert notebooks. These are 3.5 inches wide and 5.5 inches tall. And I buy these in little boxes, and then they have lots of different colors. The box that I bought had several different colors, and then they had 3 notebooks that matched, which is great because in this video I'll show you how to either add 1 notebook inside your notebook cover, or you can add up to 3 with a little technique I'll show you. So these have lines on the inside, but you can find some that just have blank pages or whatever you'd like. Now we'll be using some 2mm elastic. This comes in lots and lots of colors. So 2mm elastic is what we'll use to secure the notebooks inside. Then for the tab version of this project, we will be making our little closure using some cam snaps. These are size 20s. I get these on Amazon in a big box with lots of colors, and the one that I bought came with the pliers that you'll also need to attach the cam snaps. Finally, I have some little charms if you wanted to add a charm or a dangle to your elastic version of this project. I'll leave a link to these cute little spring charms I found. Okay, so let's go ahead, hop into Design Space. I'll show you the 4 different designs. We'll choose 2 of them so I can show you how to make one of each of the notebook covers, and I think you're going to love this project. So let's get started. Starting with a blank canvas in Cricut Design Space, you'll click on Upload and then Upload Image, and you'll browse to where the unzipped SVG files for this project are saved on your device. Now I've put the 4 designs into 2 different files for you. One I'm calling butterflies and one I'm calling flowers. So let me click on one of them to show you what that looks like. So here you can see a preview of the 2 shapes. Click Continue and then Upload. So here I've put the 2 different notebook versions that I mentioned. This is the one that has the tab closure, and then this is the one that is going to have an elastic tie. It doesn't matter what colors you decide to make. These are just colors that I chose for the artwork, so don't worry about the colors. I'm going to show you how to make one tab version and one elastic closure version today. So let me go ahead and ungroup these so I can choose one of them and delete the other one off of my canvas. So let's see, let's go ahead and make this tab closure one. So I'll select this one and delete that one. Then I'm going to go back to Upload, and let me go grab the other file, the flowers file. Open, Continue, Upload. And then here we have 2 more designs. So these designs can be mixed, the 4 designs of heat transfer vinyl can be mixed and matched on any of the notebook covers. So you can do an elastic one or a tab one, it's totally up to you. So I'm going to make this one that has the flower and the elastic notebook cover. So I will delete the other one. And then we're going to click the Make It button. We're cutting our material on a mat. The first thing you want to do is go through and mirror each of your mats because faux leather and heat transfer vinyl cut in reverse. On this one here, I'm going to go ahead and turn it. You can either turn it or you can leave it the way it is and then put your faux leather horizontally if that's what you choose. It really depends on if your faux leather has a print or a pattern or not. So here for our heat transfer vinyl shapes, again, I'm just going to drag them away from the edges a little bit. And I'm going to make a note of what size heat transfer vinyl I can put down on my mat to cut the shape out completely. So it looks like about 4 inches by 6 inches. So once you've gone through and pulled all of your shapes away from the mat edges a little bit, we're going to go back and we're going to click on one of our faux leather mats and click Continue. So for any faux leather mats you're cutting for this project, you're going to want to use the faux leather paper thin setting. Even if your faux leather is not paper thin, that's just what Cricut calls the setting. If you don't have the setting bookmarked as a favorite like I do, you can click on Browse All Materials and search for it. Now, if you're using the Explore Air 2 machine, you'll need to turn your dial to custom before you can find this setting when you search. So faux leather paper thin, and then we're going to choose more pressure. Here's the reminder, we're just using the regular fine point blade that already comes with your Cricut machine. Now for any heat transfer vinyl mats that you're cutting in your project, you'll want to use the manufacturer's recommended cut setting for the brand and type of heat transfer vinyl that you're using. Okay, let's hop back over to my overhead camera. We'll get our mats cut out and I'll show you how to put these little notebook covers together. So I'm going to cut the material for my tab notebook first. So I'm going to use this purple faux leather. I have my purple strong grip mat here, and I'm going to take this and flip it over. Now this is the pattern that I turned so that it's vertical because this tab pattern is longer. So I'm going to go ahead and put my material face down on my purple strong grip mat. First I'm going to press it down well with my hands. Then I'm going to go and apply blue painter's tape to all the edges. And this is going to help us keep the material from moving on our mat. That way we can get a really nice cut. Now, if you wanted to put some heat transfer vinyl on the inside of your notebook cover, then what I recommend doing is pressing the heat transfer vinyl onto your faux leather before you cut it. And if you want to see how I do that, I recommend going and watching the first video from the Spring Fling event, the Spring Mini Basket, where I show you how to press heat transfer vinyl onto the back of a large piece of faux leather. So my piece is all taped down. We have our faux leather paper thin cut setting with more pressure ready to go. So I will just load my mat into the Cricut and begin the cut. So our mat has cut one time, and before you unload the mat, you want to use your sharp weeding tool, either your hook or your pin pen, and just lift up the edge of the cut to see if it looks like it went all the way through. Now this one looks like it did. We also have some holes in this pattern, so I just want to test the holes as well, and that one looks good. Now if your material did not cut all the way through, not to worry, that happens often. You'll just want to rerun your cut, and you can do that by pressing the cut button again as many times as you need to before you unload your mat. This one looks good. I'm going to go ahead and remove it. And I will remove my shape. And what I want to do is poke through the hole in the tab, since this is the tab closure version. And let me show you how this is going to work. So this is going to be the inside of our little notebook. This is going to be the front cover, and then the tab is going to go over like this. So we actually have one more little hole right here that we want to poke out. So you should have, for the tab one, you should have a tab. The tab has a hole, the front cover has a hole, and then there's 2 holes down the center. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to Design Space. I'm going to cut out my heat transfer vinyl layer for this design. So I'm going to be using some Cricut foil iron-on for this design. So I've cut a piece that again is slightly larger than my shape that's going to cut. This is going to go pretty side down on my green standard grip mat, right in that spot that I see the shape is going to cut on the mat preview screen. I'm going to rub it all over. And for this particular product, I use the Cricut foil iron-on setting with default pressure. So my heat transfer vinyl layer has cut out. I'm not sure if you can see that. So this is a rather detailed cut. Oh, you can probably see it better on this side. So it'll take me a little bit of time to weed away the excess vinyl and weed away all of the little pieces inside of the design, but that is going to look really pretty. Now I'm going to go back to Design Space and I'm going to cut out the notebook cover and the heat transfer vinyl layer for the elastic version, so I can show you that one as well. So now that I've cut our 2 notebook covers and I've also cut the 2 heat transfer vinyl layers, I'm going to go ahead and weed these off camera to save some time. Then when we come back, I will show you how to press the heat transfer vinyl onto the faux leather covers and then how to finish these off. Okay, so both of our faux leather notebook cover versions are cut, all the holes are punched, and I've also cut and weeded all of my heat transfer vinyl layers. So we are ready to press our designs onto the little faux leather notebook covers. So I have my EasyPress Mini set to low. If you're using a regular EasyPress, I would set it to 265 degrees. That temperature is high enough to press the heat transfer vinyl, but low enough to not damage the surface of the faux leather. So I have my heat pressing pad. Again, just remind yourself of how your little notebook is going to close. So this will be my front cover. And then I'm going to place this on my heat pressing pad, and you can put this design any way you'd like to. You could angle it, you can have it in the center, you can have it going over both sides. It's totally up to you. I think I'm going to put mine kind of off to the side a little bit. Then I'm going to cover with a little Teflon sheet. This is just like the Teflon sheets that you use when you're pressing heat transfer vinyl on shirts, or you can use butcher paper or parchment paper. So I'm just going to take my EasyPress Mini and we're going to press all over. I'm moving my little Mini just out of habit, but you can just sit it down, or if you're using a regular EasyPress, you'll just place it down. What we're going for is about 10 to 15 seconds of continuous heat and pressure all over the design. So when you're ready, what you want to do is try to very carefully peel back this clear carrier sheet on your heat transfer vinyl. If your vinyl lifts up or bubbles or peels, then you want to place your cover right back down, cover and press some more. But this is looking pretty good. So I'll just peel the seat out. See how this is lifting up a little bit here? So I want to place that back down. That's why you want to do it slowly, so you can catch any little areas like that. So let's try that again. And I like to try and peel from a different direction when that happens. That looks pretty good. So this is going to be warm and I want it to cool nice and flat. So I'm going to place this underneath my little heat pressing pad to help it cool flat while we press the other design. So this one is our tab version. And what you want to do is make sure that you know where your cover is. So again, just kind of fold it, remind yourself, okay, this is the tab, this is the front. So I know this side is the front. Let me go sideways with this actually. And this one's kind of fun because we can sort of stretch it over from the front to the back. That's why I made this oversized. Now, what you want to do is kind of be cognizant of where your little holes are. Now, if your vinyl goes over your hole, that's okay. You can always just poke the vinyl through with a sharp weeding tool. But if possible, you want to try and lay this so that it's not, the heat transfer vinyl is not obstructing any of the holes. And that looks pretty good. Keep in mind that your tab will be right here. So that area of your design will be covered by the tab. That looks good. So again, we will just cover and press. So I've pressed all over. This is foil iron-on, and it can be a little bit finicky when you're peeling it, so I do like to let it cool a little bit before I try and peel. So I'm going to give that just a moment, and then we'll come right back and we'll start to try and peel it. If, as I'm peeling it, again, if it lifts up at all, I'm just going to cover it and press again. So that actually peeled very well. The foil is so nice to work with. It's just a little bit tricky sometimes, but really you get such a beautiful effect. Okay, so now we have both of our little notebook covers pressed. What I'm going to do is let both of these cool while I switch out my work area here so I can show you how to add the elastics and also to add the cam snaps. So the first thing I want to show you how to do is how to attach the cam snaps. So these are size 20 plastic snaps called cam snaps, and there are lots of little pieces in this box, but we need 4 pieces to create one set of a snap. So this little brochure came with my set of cam snaps, and I'll leave a copy of this for you in the download folder because it's really helpful. These are the 4 pieces you want to find inside your cam snap box. So you need a cap, a stud, it has little bumps on one side, then there's a socket which has an opening, and then there is another cap. So you need all 4 of these parts. I like to go through my cam snap box and pull out all 4 parts and just line them up on my work surface just like they are here on the flyer. Okay, so what we want to do is first let's attach the cam snap to the front. So for the front, we need a cap on the outside. And it's a good idea to just keep sort of folding this over and taking a look and seeing if it looks like it makes sense, which it does. You want to have a cap on the outside, and then we're going to put the stud on the inside so that it pokes out, and then we can press it into the piece that will be on the front. So cap on the tab here. Then we're going to find the stud, which has bumps on the back, little tiny bumps. We're going to put the bumps to the back of the faux leather, just like that. So there's our cap. On the inside is our stud. Then we're going to take our cam snap pliers. Let me turn this around. Now the pliers have a black piece here and a little white piece. The black piece is larger, and that is always going to be where the cap goes. So this black piece is going to completely cover the cap. You need to kind of hold both pieces in your fingers at one time and then slide the pliers over. And you want to keep sliding until that entire cap piece is covered and you can't see it anymore. That's how you know you're in the right spot. When you have the cap inside the black piece, then this piece will be lined up in the center of the white area here, and then you can just go ahead and squeeze really hard. Squeeze with 2 hands if you need to. So now we have our little tab ready to go with the cap on the outside and the stud on the inside. Now we need to do the same for this side, but for the front of the notebook here, we want the cap to come from underneath. So it's going to go underneath so the post sticks up. And then we're going to take our little socket piece, put that down so you can see the big opening here. So the opening is going to accept this stud part that we've already applied. So again, we'll just do the same thing. Hold both pieces with your fingers. Take your cam snap pliers, make sure that black part is going over the cap. You want to make sure the cap is completely surrounded by the black area, and that's how you know everything is lined up. And then we'll squeeze. And that's it. So here's our little cover. Here's our little snap. Isn't that cute? Super easy to do. Okay, so let me show you with the elastics how you're going to add your notebooks inside. So the first thing we want to do here is we want to take our 2mm elastic cord, and what we want to do is use some curved scissors or detail scissors and sort of trim off the edge to make it sort of pointy and sharp there. And what we're going to want to do is take our cord and go from underneath on the bottom hole and then thread it up here through the top hole. And this piece is going to end up being about 14 to 16 inches long if you want to cut it in advance, but I'm just going to leave mine long. Then what you're going to do is take one of your little notebooks. We're going to open it up and find the center. Place that down right in the center of your little notebook cover. And then what we want to do is fold this over and have our elastic meet in the middle. So I'm going to pull this down just a little bit, so I'm not wasting elastic. There we go, that looks pretty good. Then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of pull this a little bit taut and just tie a knot. There we go. So now our one little notebook is here in the center, and you can see the little elastic is on the edges here. You could hang a dangle or a charm here if you wanted to. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to trim this off. Now let me show you what to do if you want to add more notebooks. So if you wanted to have either 2 notebooks or three notebooks, there's a really easy way to do that. So what we're going to do is take our same elastic and we're going to lift the notebook up, and we're going to wrap the elastic all the way around the notebook. Okay, so the notebook is standing up and all I've done is wrap the elastic around this notebook. I'm going to come to the back side, and then all I'm going to do is tie again here, not super tight. There we go. Trim off those edges again. Now we have a loop on the back and we have a loop on the front, and we can insert extra notebooks. So just open up your little notebook insert, pick up your elastic on the front, slide in your notebook at the middle part, at the half, and then there's your second notebook. Flip to the back. You can add a third notebook again, open it up to the middle, slide it onto the back elastic, and fold it up. Now you have 3 notebooks inside. Isn't that cute? And it just closes up with the little snap. Okay, so that's for our tab closure with the elastic. And let me just show you quickly how to do something similar with our elastic only version. So again, I have my 3 notebooks. Now this one, we're going to do something a little bit different with our elastic. For this one, you're going to want both of your ends here to be pretty sharp. We're going to take both ends and we're going to put them through the middle hole. This might take a little bit of finagling to get both ends through the hole. So the loop here is at this end. We're just going to keep pulling. Now I'm only going to pull 1 string because I want to be able to use more of this elastic piece. What we want to do is basically pull our string so that it makes a loop that is just about as long or as wide as the edge of the notebook. Do you see that? So here's my loop and it's going about that far. That's because this piece of elastic is going to come around here and hold all of our notebooks together. So now that I've done that, I see that I want to pull it a little bit closer. So let me try a little closer. It's a good idea to test this before you actually tie your knot. Now also, depending on how many notebooks you have, you may need to make this loop tighter or looser. I'm going to go a little bit tighter still. So let's see what that ends up being. So that ends up being just shy of the edge of the notebook. Okay, so now what we want to do is tie a knot here on the inside. Just going to do a double knot. Try to make sure that your loop on the outside of your notebook doesn't move. There we go. So we have our loop on the outside and we have a knot on the inside. Okay, so now what we're going to do is the same thing we did before. I'm going to thread our elastic through the top hole and then thread the other elastic through the bottom hole. And then we're going to repeat. Notebook to the center, put it right down in the center, take your top and your bottom elastics, have them meet in the middle here, tie a knot. My knot got a little wonky there. trim off those edges. And then if you want to add more notebooks, again, take your long elastic, wrap it around the notebook from front to back, and then insert your additional notebooks front and back. So here's our elastic version with our 3 notebook inserts inside, and then we just take this and slide it over to the front, and that's going to keep your little cover from opening. Now if we wanted to, we can go in here and grab a cute little charm. Let's see. Oh, this one's pretty. Little flower with a little stone in the middle. That's cute. So I'm just going to take a jump ring and my little flat nose pliers here. My jump ring's already open. So I'm just going to slide the little charm on. And then I will attach this to the elastic and close the jump ring back up. And there you have it. We've got our 2 spring themed notebook covers. Remember, you have 4 different designs to choose from and 2 different notebook cover options. I hope you love this project, and I can't wait to see the spring notebook covers you create. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.